There are moments in a person's life when destiny begins to speak louder than circumstances. Moments when the invisible hand of God begins to rearrange the patterns of life, shifting a person from the background to the forefront, from limitation to influence, from struggle to significance. These moments are not ordinary. They are divine intersections where preparation meets opportunity and where prayer activates purpose. Understand this truth. Greatness is not merely about rising above others. It is about being positioned in the exact place where your life becomes a solution to the needs of many. Many people desire greatness, but few understand the spiritual laws that govern it. Greatness is not a coincidence. It is not luck. It is not just talent. It is the result of divine orchestration combined with human alignment. There are people who are gifted but not positioned. There are people who are passionate but not aligned. There are people who are hardworking but not strategically placed. And because of this, their potential remains hidden, their voice remains unheard, and their impact remains unrealized. But tonight, something is shifting. Divine positioning is not accidental. It is the result of alignment with God's purpose. Many people believe that where they are in life is a product of chance, coincidence, or human effort alone. They assume that success happens randomly and that greatness is reserved for a few lucky individuals. But the truth is far deeper and more spiritual. Nothing truly significant in destiny happens by accident. Every meaningful elevation is the outcome of alignment. Alignment of the heart, the mind, the choices, and the spirit with a higher purpose that transcends personal ambition. Alignment begins with understanding that life is not just about personal dreams. It is about discovering why you exist. When a person lives without purpose, they may be busy but directionless. They may be active but ineffective. They may be successful in the eyes of people but empty in the depths of their soul. But when a person begins to seek purpose, something shifts. Their decisions become intentional. Their priorities change. Their relationships become strategic. Their time becomes sacred. They begin to realize that every day is not just a routine, but a step toward destiny. Divine positioning often starts in places that seem insignificant. Many people imagine that alignment with purpose will always feel glorious, exciting, and dramatic. Yet in reality, it often begins in quiet obedience, hidden seasons, and unnoticed sacrifices. It begins when you choose integrity over shortcuts, discipline over comfort, and obedience over convenience. These moments may not attract applause, but they attract divine attention. And what attracts divine attention eventually leads to divine positioning. There are seasons when it seems like nothing is happening. You pray, you work, you believe, yet the results appear slow. In those moments, many people become frustrated and impatient. They compare their journey with others and conclude that they are behind. But alignment does not always produce immediate visibility. Sometimes it produces deep roots. And roots are essential because without them, elevation becomes dangerous. When God positions a person without depth, their success becomes a burden rather than a blessing. But when alignment is complete, elevation becomes sustainable. Alignment with purpose also requires the courage to let go of what is familiar but unproductive. Many people remain stuck not because they lack potential, but because they refuse to release what no longer serves their destiny. They hold on to relationships that drain them, habits that weaken them, and environments that limit them. Divine positioning often demands separation before celebration. Sometimes God removes certain people and opportunities not to punish you, but to protect your future. What feels like loss may actually be preparation. Another dimension of alignment is sensitivity. A person who is aligned with purpose learns to listen beyond noise. They learn to discern timing, direction, and opportunities. They understand that not every open door is a divine door, and not every closed door is a rejection. Sometimes a closed door is guidance. Sometimes delay is protection. Sometimes rejection is redirection. When a person is aligned, they stop interpreting life only through emotions and begin to interpret it through wisdom. Divine positioning also involves responsibility. Many people pray for greatness, but are not prepared for the weight of it. They desire influence, but are not ready for accountability. They want recognition, but resist discipline. Alignment with purpose transforms desire into readiness. It reshapes character, strengthens patience, and builds wisdom. It teaches a person that greatness is not just about being seen, but about being trusted. True positioning is not only about where you stand, it is about who you have become. There is also a spiritual dimension that cannot be ignored. Alignment with purpose is not achieved by human effort alone. It requires consistent spiritual engagement. When a person prays, reflects, and seeks divine guidance, their inner compass becomes sharper. Their decisions become clearer. Their steps become ordered. Prayer is not an escape from reality. It is the tool that shapes reality. Through prayer, confusion turns into clarity, fear turns into faith, and uncertainty turns into conviction. Many destinies have been delayed because people waited for perfect conditions instead of aligning with purpose in imperfect circumstances. They said, when I have more resources, I will start. Or when I feel more confident, I will move. But alignment does not wait for perfection. It begins with obedience. The moment a person chooses to act in alignment with purpose, even with limited resources and imperfect understanding, they step into the process of divine positioning. Divine positioning also means understanding timing. Some people try to force elevation before preparation is complete. Others hesitate when the time to move has arrived. Alignment teaches patience without passivity and action without arrogance. It helps a person to move when it is time to move and to wait when it is time to wait. This balance is rare, but it is the secret of sustained greatness. Ultimately, divine positioning is not about competing with others. It is about completing your assignment. When you are aligned with purpose, you stop measuring your life by someone else's journey. You realize that your path is unique, your pace is intentional, and your story is meaningful. You understand that greatness is not about being above everyone, but about being exactly where you are meant to be. When alignment is complete, positioning becomes inevitable. Opportunities begin to find you. Connections begin to align. Favor begins to follow your steps. Not because you are perfect, but because you are positioned. And when a person is positioned by purpose, no force can permanently displace them. Their life becomes a testimony that greatness is not accidental. It is the reward of alignment. Prayer is the spiritual force that moves a person from obscurity to visibility. Many people think visibility comes only through talent, connections, or luck. But history shows that the most impactful lives were not shaped merely by human advantage. They were shaped by moments in the unseen realm where decisions were made, burdens were lifted, and destinies were activated through prayer. Obscurity is not always a sign of failure. Sometimes it is the womb where greatness is formed. But prayer is what triggers the transition from hiddenness to manifestation. Obscurity often feels painful because it seems like effort is wasted and potential is ignored. A person may work hard, improve themselves, and carry deep passion, yet remain unnoticed. In such moments, discouragement whispers that nothing will ever change. But prayer redefines these seasons. It transforms frustration into expectation and silence into preparation. Through prayer, a person begins to understand that being hidden is not being forgotten. It is often a divine strategy to protect a destiny until it is mature enough to be revealed. Prayer works first on the inside before it changes the outside. When a person prays consistently, their perception begins to shift. They stop seeing themselves as insignificant and begin to see themselves as carriers of purpose. Confidence rises not from pride, but from inner clarity. Fear begins to lose its grip because prayer strengthens the spirit. Many people remain in obscurity not because opportunities are absent, but because they lack the inner capacity to handle visibility. Prayer builds that capacity. It expands the mind, stabilizes the emotions, and sharpens discernment. Visibility without preparation is dangerous. When a person becomes visible without depth, their success becomes fragile. They may rise quickly, but collapse under pressure. Prayer prevents this by strengthening foundations. It gives a person resilience, wisdom, and emotional stability. When visibility comes, they are not overwhelmed by attention or intoxicated by applause. They remain grounded because their identity was formed in secret places, not in public stages. Prayer also attracts divine alignment. In the unseen realm, prayer rearranges circumstances, people, and opportunities. Connections that seemed impossible suddenly become natural. Doors that seemed permanently closed begin to open. Conversations that change destinies happen unexpectedly. This is not coincidence, it is orchestration. Prayer creates spiritual momentum that translates into physical manifestation. What was once hidden begins to emerge because the spiritual environment has shifted. Another dimension of prayer is clarity of direction. Many people remain obscure because they are busy but not focused. They pursue many things but commit deeply to none. Prayer simplifies the journey. It helps a person to identify what truly matters and what is merely distraction. When direction becomes clear, energy becomes concentrated, efforts become strategic, time becomes purposeful, and gradually obscurity begins to fade. Not because the person shouted louder, but because they moved with precision. Prayer also purifies motives. Some people desire visibility for validation rather than impact. They want to be seen, not to serve. But prayer refines the heart. It shifts the desire from self-glory to meaningful contribution. When motives are purified, visibility becomes a tool for influence rather than a platform for ego. Such visibility is sustainable because it is rooted in purpose, not insecurity. Obscurity often teaches humility, and prayer preserves it. When a person has spent years praying in hidden places, they do not lose themselves when visibility comes. They understand that their rise is not solely their own achievement. They remain teachable, grateful, and grounded. This humility attracts greater trust, deeper relationships, and wider influence. People are drawn not just to their success, but to their authenticity. Prayer also strengthens patience. Many people abandon their journey because results take time. They want instant recognition and quick rewards. But prayer teaches endurance. It trains the heart to wait without quitting. It transforms waiting into worship and delay into development. Through prayer, a person learns that timing is as important as talent. When visibility finally comes, it comes at the right time, not prematurely. In addition, prayer breaks invisible barriers. Sometimes obscurity is not merely circumstantial, it is spiritual. There are limitations that logic cannot explain, patterns of stagnation, cycles of near success, repeated disappointments. Prayer confronts these invisible barriers. It releases freedom where oppression existed. It creates pathways where walls once stood. It unlocks dimensions of possibility that effort alone could not reach. Prayer also amplifies a person's voice. Many people speak, but few are heard. Prayer gives weight to words. It adds authority to presence. It makes ideas resonate beyond ordinary understanding. When a person who has prayed speaks, their words carry depth, conviction, and clarity. People listen not because of volume, but because of substance. Visibility becomes natural because the message carries meaning. Ultimately, prayer is the bridge between potential and manifestation. It is the force that turns silent dreams into visible realities. It is the journey from being unknown to being impactful, from being overlooked to being influential. When a person commits to prayer, they may not change overnight, but they change inevitably. Step by step, obscurity gives way to relevance, and relevance gives way to greatness. When visibility finally comes, it is not accidental. It is the visible evidence of invisible labor. It is the reward of countless moments in quiet places where a person chose faith over fear, persistence over doubt, and prayer over despair. And when that moment arrives, it becomes clear that prayer was not just a ritual. It was the power that moved a life from obscurity to destiny. God positions people not just for success, but for impact and legacy. Many people measure their lives by achievements, titles, wealth, and recognition. They believe that success is the ultimate goal, and once they reach a certain level of comfort or status, they have arrived. But there is a deeper dimension beyond success, a dimension where life becomes meaningful, not only for the individual, but for generations to come. That dimension is impact and legacy. Success may satisfy the present, but legacy shapes the future. When God positions a person, the purpose is never limited to personal gain. Divine positioning is always bigger than the individual. It is about influence that transforms lives, ideas that reshape systems, and values that outlive the person who carried them. Many people chase success without understanding that success without impact is shallow, and achievement without legacy is temporary. But when a person is positioned for impact, their life becomes a channel through which others are lifted, inspired, and empowered. Impact begins with understanding responsibility. When a person realizes that their life is not just their own, their perspective changes. They stop asking, "What can I get?" and start asking, "What can I give?" They stop living only for comfort and begin to live for contribution. This shift is crucial because legacy is built on contribution, not consumption. A person who is positioned by God understands that every gift they carry is not just for personal benefit, but for collective transformation. Many people are successful yet forgotten because their lives did not create lasting value. They achieved much but changed little. But those who are positioned for impact leave footprints that others can follow. Their words continue to inspire long after they are gone. Their systems continue to function long after their presence is removed. Their values continue to guide people long after their voices are silent. This is the essence of legacy, a life that continues to speak even in absence. Divine positioning also stretches a person beyond their comfort zone. Success often allows people to settle, but impact demands growth. When God positions someone for legacy, he exposes them to challenges that refine their capacity. They are pushed to think bigger, act wiser, and lead stronger. They are forced to confront their limitations and expand their vision. This process is not always comfortable, but it is necessary. Legacy is not built in ease, it is built in responsibility. Impact also requires sacrifice. Many people want to be remembered but are unwilling to pay the price of significance. They want influence without inconvenience, recognition without responsibility, and results without discipline. But legacy is costly. It demands time, energy, integrity, and consistency. A person positioned for legacy understands that some pleasures must be delayed, some choices must be disciplined, and some paths must be avoided. They realize that their decisions today will determine the stories told about them tomorrow. Another dimension of legacy is mentorship. People positioned for impact do not only build themselves, they build others. They understand that true greatness is not proven by how high you rise, but by how many people you lift. They invest in people, share knowledge, and create opportunities. They do not fear being surpassed because they understand that legacy is not about competition, it is about continuity. When a person's influence multiplies through others, their legacy becomes unstoppable. Divine positioning also shapes values. A person positioned by God does not compromise principles for temporary gain. They understand that character is more important than applause, and integrity is more valuable than shortcuts. Their life becomes a reference point for excellence, discipline, and wisdom. People look at them not just for inspiration, but for direction. This moral authority is what makes legacy powerful. It is not built on perfection, but on consistency of values. Impact is also measured by transformation. A person positioned for legacy does not only inspire admiration, they inspire change. Their presence shifts mindsets. Their ideas challenge limitations. Their actions redefine possibilities. They create environments where others can thrive. They do not just occupy space, they transform it. When such a person leaves a place, that place is never the same again. Legacy also transcends time. Success often fades when circumstances change, but legacy remains relevant across generations. A person positioned for legacy plants seeds that grow beyond their lifetime. They establish systems, institutions, ideas, and cultures that continue to function long after they are gone. Their influence becomes timeless because it is rooted in purpose rather than trend. However, divine positioning for legacy requires humility. Many people lose impact because success intoxicates them. They begin to see themselves as the center rather than as instruments. But a person positioned for legacy understands that they are stewards, not owners. They remain grounded because they know that their influence is entrusted, not earned alone. This humility preserves their relevance and protects their legacy. God positions people not merely to rise above others, but to raise others through their rise. He positions them not just to accumulate wealth, but to distribute value. He positions them not just to be remembered, but to be meaningful. When a person understands this, their life changes. They stop chasing applause and start building substance. They stop pursuing temporary success and start constructing eternal impact. When such a person looks back on their life, they do not only see achievements, they see transformed lives, empowered minds, and strengthened communities. And when history speaks of them, it does not only mention what they had, but what they gave, what they built, and what they left behind. That is the essence of divine positioning. Not just success, but impact and legacy that outlive the individual. Every season of delay is preparation for a season of greatness. Many people interpret delay as rejection, failure, or divine silence. They assume that if something has not happened quickly, it will never happen at all. But delay is often misunderstood. In reality, delay is not always denial. Sometimes it is divine design. It is the process through which capacity is built, character is refined, and vision is clarified before greatness is revealed. Delay often feels uncomfortable because it confronts impatience. In a world where speed is celebrated and instant results are expected, waiting can feel like punishment. Yet the most valuable things in life require time. Seeds do not become trees overnight, and foundations are not laid in moments. Delay is the season where roots are formed beneath the surface. Without roots, any form of greatness would collapse under pressure. One of the most important lessons delay teaches is endurance. Many people quit too early because they cannot tolerate uncertainty. They start with passion but abandon the journey when progress seems slow. Delay tests commitment. It reveals whether a person is driven by temporary excitement or by deep conviction. Those who endure delay develop resilience, and resilience is a key ingredient of greatness. When greatness finally arrives, it does not overwhelm them because they have already learned to persist. Delay also refines vision. When a person is forced to wait, they are compelled to think deeply about what they truly want. They move from vague dreams to clear purpose. They begin to separate fantasy from destiny. During delay, distractions are exposed, priorities are reorganized, and intentions are purified. Many people discover their true calling not in moments of success, but in seasons of waiting. Another dimension of delay is skill development. Greatness requires competence, and competence requires time. A person may have talent, but talent without refinement is unstable. Delay provides the opportunity to learn, practice, and improve. It is during hidden seasons that mastery is built. When greatness finally appears, people see only the visible success, not the invisible years of preparation. Delay also protects a person from premature exposure. Many people desire recognition before they are emotionally and mentally ready for it. If they were lifted too early, success would destroy them. Delay acts as a shield. It allows maturity to catch up with opportunity. It ensures that when a person is finally exposed to influence, they have the wisdom to handle it. In this sense, delay is not punishment, it is protection. There is also a relational aspect to delay. During waiting seasons, a person often learns discernment. They begin to recognize which relationships are supportive and which are draining. Delay reveals true allies and hidden adversaries. It teaches a person to value quality over quantity in relationships. This discernment becomes crucial in seasons of greatness because the people around you often determine how far you can go. Delay also reshapes character. When things do not happen quickly, impatience, pride, and entitlement are confronted. A person is forced to develop humility, gratitude, and discipline. These qualities are not developed in comfort. They are forged in waiting. Greatness without character is dangerous, but greatness built on character is sustainable. Delay ensures that character grows alongside ambition. Another powerful effect of delay is spiritual depth. Waiting often drives a person inward. They begin to reflect, pray, and seek meaning beyond external success. In delay, superficial desires lose their attraction and deeper values emerge. A person learns that their worth is not defined by speed of achievement, but by depth of purpose. This realization stabilizes them when greatness finally arrives, preventing them from losing themselves in success. Delay also teaches timing. Many people fail not because they lack ability, but because they act at the wrong time. Delay trains a person to recognize the difference between urgency and importance, between impulse and strategy. It teaches them to move when the moment is right, not just when emotions demand action. This sense of timing becomes a powerful advantage in seasons of greatness. Furthermore, delay strengthens faith in unseen outcomes. When results are not visible, a person must learn to believe beyond evidence. This ability to trust the process is what separates ordinary lives from extraordinary ones. People who cannot endure uncertainty rarely reach greatness, but those who learn to walk through delay with hope develop an inner stability that makes them unstoppable. Delay is a classroom where greatness is taught. It is not wasted time. It is invested time. It is the silent workshop where destiny is shaped. While it may feel like nothing is happening, everything is happening beneath the surface. Every lesson learned, every habit formed, every weakness confronted, and every skill refined is preparing a person for a future they cannot yet see. When the season of greatness finally arrives, it often comes suddenly. To outsiders, it looks like overnight success. But the person who endured delay knows the truth. Greatness was not sudden, it was cultivated. The waiting was not meaningless, it was necessary. And the delay was not a setback. It was the preparation that made greatness possible. Spiritual sensitivity determines how accurately you recognize divine opportunities. Many people miss life-changing moments, not because opportunities are absent, but because their perception is dull. Opportunities often arrive quietly, disguised as ordinary moments, unfamiliar people, or unexpected challenges. Without sensitivity, a person can stand at the door of destiny and never realize it. Spiritual sensitivity is the ability to perceive meaning beyond appearance, to sense direction beyond logic, and to recognize significance beyond familiarity. Sensitivity begins with awareness. A person who is spiritually sensitive does not live on autopilot. They do not treat every day as random. They observe patterns, reflect on experiences, and pay attention to inner impressions. They understand that life communicates through subtle signals. While others rush through moments, they pause to discern meaning. This awareness allows them to detect opportunities that others overlook. One of the greatest enemies of sensitivity is noise. Modern life is filled with distractions, endless information, constant entertainment, and emotional pressure. When the mind is overloaded, perception becomes shallow. A person may be busy but blind. Spiritual sensitivity requires stillness. It requires moments of silence where the mind is cleared and the heart becomes receptive. In stillness, clarity emerges. In silence, direction is revealed. Sensitivity is also shaped by discipline. It is not a natural accident. It is cultivated through consistent habits. Reflection, learning, and intentional focus sharpen perception. A person who constantly reacts to life without reflection loses the ability to discern deeper meaning. But a person who practices discipline in thought and action develops inner sharpness. They begin to notice connections, timing, and significance in situations that others consider ordinary. Another key aspect of spiritual sensitivity is emotional maturity. Many people misinterpret opportunities because they are controlled by emotions. Fear makes them run from opportunities that require courage. Pride makes them reject opportunities that require humility. Impatience makes them force doors that are not yet ready. Sensitivity requires emotional balance. A person must learn to separate impulse from intuition, reaction from revelation. When emotions are disciplined, perception becomes accurate. Spiritual sensitivity also involves humility. A person who believes they already know everything cannot perceive new direction. Pride blinds perception, but humility opens the mind to instruction. A sensitive person is teachable. They listen, learn, and adjust. They understand that opportunities sometimes come through correction, advice, or unexpected sources. When humility is present, even criticism can become guidance. Many divine opportunities are hidden in problems. Challenges often carry instructions, and crises often contain direction. But without sensitivity, a person only sees frustration, not purpose. A sensitive person asks deeper questions. What is this situation teaching me? What skill is this challenge developing? What direction is this pressure pointing toward? Through such questions, obstacles become signposts and difficulties become preparation. Spiritual sensitivity also affects relationships. Many opportunities come through people. A person who lacks discernment may ignore valuable connections or trust harmful ones. Sensitivity helps a person recognize who to learn from, who to collaborate with, and who to distance from. It prevents them from being driven solely by charisma or popularity. Instead, they learn to evaluate relationships by values, wisdom, and alignment with purpose. Another dimension of sensitivity is timing. Opportunities are not only about what to do, but when to do it. Acting too early can be as damaging as acting too late. Sensitivity helps a person recognize seasons. They know when to wait, when to move, when to speak, and when to remain silent. This sense of timing transforms ordinary decisions into strategic moves. Spiritual sensitivity also deepens perspective. A sensitive person does not judge situations only by appearances. They understand that what looks small today may be significant tomorrow. They respect beginnings. They value small assignments. They treat minor responsibilities with seriousness because they understand that greatness often begins in hidden places. While others wait for big platforms, they maximize small opportunities. Sensitivity also strengthens intuition. Over time, a person who cultivates sensitivity develops an inner compass. They begin to sense when something is right or wrong even before evidence appears. This intuition is not mystical. It is the result of accumulated awareness, discipline, and wisdom. It protects them from costly mistakes and guides them toward meaningful opportunities. However, sensitivity requires courage. Recognizing opportunities is not enough. Acting on them demands boldness. Many people sense direction but fear risk. They hesitate because the opportunity does not look safe or familiar. But sensitivity combined with courage produces transformation. When a person trusts their discernment and acts with wisdom, they move from potential to manifestation. Ultimately, spiritual sensitivity is the difference between living reactively and living intentionally. It is the ability to see beyond the surface of life and to recognize moments of destiny in ordinary experiences. Those who lack sensitivity may live busy lives yet miss their purpose. But those who cultivate sensitivity begin to live with clarity. They recognize doors when they appear, seize opportunities when they arise, and align their choices with deeper meaning. Opportunities are not rare, perception is. Life constantly presents moments of direction, growth, and transformation. But only those who are spiritually sensitive can recognize them accurately. And when sensitivity is developed, destiny is no longer accidental. It becomes intentional, guided, and fulfilled with precision. God rearranges people, places, and events to fulfill his plan for your life. Many people think their lives are controlled only by visible factors, education, background, connections, or circumstances. They assume that what happens to them is random or purely the result of human decisions. But there is a deeper reality. Life is often guided by unseen orchestration. Sometimes what looks like coincidence is actually alignment, and what looks like disruption is actually redirection. Rearrangement often begins with discomfort. When God begins to shift a person's life, it rarely feels convenient. Relationships change, environments shift, and familiar routines are interrupted. At first, these changes feel like loss or instability. A person may wonder why things that once worked no longer do, or why people who were once close begin to drift away. But rearrangement is not destruction, it is construction. It is the process of removing what no longer fits the future and introducing what will support it. People are often the first elements to be rearranged. Some relationships are seasonal. They exist to teach lessons, not to last forever. Others are foundational. They appear at critical moments to accelerate growth. When God rearranges people, he may remove certain influences that limit vision or weaken character. He may also introduce mentors, partners, or friends who stretch potential and broaden perspective. These changes are not always emotionally easy, but they are strategically necessary. Places are also rearranged. Sometimes a person feels an inner restlessness with their environment. The place that once felt comfortable begins to feel restrictive. Opportunities begin to appear in unfamiliar locations. This is often a sign of repositioning. A change in environment can unlock new abilities, networks, and possibilities. Many people resist relocation, physically, mentally, or emotionally, because they fear the unknown. But staying in the wrong place can be more dangerous than moving into uncertainty. Events are another powerful tool of rearrangement. Certain experiences, whether positive or painful, become turning points. A failure may redirect a person toward a more suitable path. A success may reveal hidden responsibilities. A crisis may awaken dormant strength. These events are not always chosen, but they are often purposeful. Through them, priorities are redefined and destinies are clarified. One of the most difficult aspects of divine rearrangement is trust. When life begins to shift, logic may not provide immediate answers. A person may feel confused, questioning why certain doors closed or why certain opportunities disappeared. But rearrangement requires faith in process. It requires believing that what is happening is not random, even when it is not fully understood. Rearrangement also exposes attachment. Many people cling to familiar patterns because they provide security. They hold on to relationships, habits, or identities that no longer serve their growth. When rearrangement begins, these attachments are challenged. Letting go becomes painful but necessary. A person must choose between comfort and calling, between familiarity and fulfillment. Those who choose comfort remain stagnant, Those who embrace rearrangement step into destiny. Another dimension of rearrangement is timing. Sometimes changes happen suddenly, and other times gradually. A person may feel like everything is shifting at once, or they may notice slow, subtle adjustments over time. Both patterns are intentional. Sudden shifts break strongholds of stagnation, while gradual changes build stability. Understanding timing helps a person cooperate with the process rather than resist it. Rearrangement also refines perception. When people, places, and events shift, a person is forced to see life differently. They begin to question assumptions, reevaluate goals, and redefine success. What once seemed important loses significance, and what once seemed insignificant gains value. This shift in perception is crucial because destiny requires a new way of seeing. Without transformation of perspective, repositioning would be meaningless. Another powerful effect of rearrangement is alignment. When the wrong elements are removed and the right ones are introduced, life begins to flow with less resistance. Opportunities feel natural rather than forced. Relationships feel supportive rather than draining. Decisions feel clearer rather than confusing. Alignment does not eliminate challenges, but it reduces unnecessary struggle. It places a person in an environment where their strengths can flourish. Rearrangement also teaches patience. Many people want instant clarity and immediate results, but divine orchestration often unfolds gradually. A person may not understand the full picture until years later. Looking back, they realize that every separation, every relocation, and every unexpected event was part of a larger design. What once felt chaotic begins to make sense in hindsight. However, rearrangement requires cooperation. Some people resist change so strongly that they delay their own destiny. They ignore inner signals, reject new opportunities, and cling to outdated identities. As a result, they remain stuck in cycles that no longer reflect their potential. But those who cooperate with rearrangement, even when it is uncomfortable, experience transformation. They move from confusion to clarity, from limitation to expansion. Ultimately, divine rearrangement is an act of love, not punishment. It is the process of aligning a life with purpose. When God rearranges people, places, and events, He is not trying to destroy stability, but to create significance. He is not removing joy, but redirecting it. He is not disrupting peace, but establishing deeper fulfillment. When a person finally understands this, their attitude toward change shifts. Instead of fearing disruption, they begin to see it as preparation. Instead of resisting movement, they embrace growth. And in that moment, they realize that their life is not falling apart, it is falling into place. Greatness is sustained by character, wisdom, and obedience, not just favor. Many people believe that favor alone is enough to guarantee lasting success. They think that once opportunities appear, doors open, and recognition comes, greatness will automatically continue. But history and experience prove otherwise. Favor can lift a person, but it cannot sustain them. Without character, wisdom, and obedience, favor becomes fragile and greatness becomes temporary. Character is the foundation of sustained greatness. It is who a person is when no one is watching. It is the consistency between values and actions, between words and behavior. Many people rise quickly because of talent or opportunity, but they fall just as quickly because their character cannot carry the weight of their success. Character is what keeps a person grounded when applause grows loud and pressure increases. Without character, greatness becomes dangerous because power without integrity leads to destruction. Character is not built in moments of visibility. It is formed in seasons of obscurity. It is shaped by small decisions, daily discipline, and hidden sacrifices. When a person chooses honesty over convenience, humility over pride, and responsibility over excuses, they are strengthening the roots of their greatness. These choices may seem insignificant, but they determine how long a person can remain at the top. Wisdom is the second pillar that sustains greatness. Favor may open doors, but wisdom determines which doors to enter and which to avoid. Many people lose opportunities because they lack discernment. They make impulsive decisions, trust the wrong people, or prioritize short-term gains over long-term stability. Wisdom is the ability to see beyond the present moment and understand the consequences of actions. It transforms raw intelligence into strategic understanding. Wisdom also helps a person manage success. When greatness comes, it brings complexity, more responsibilities, more relationships, more pressure. Without wisdom, a person becomes overwhelmed. They may mismanage resources, neglect important relationships, or lose focus on purpose. But wisdom creates balance. It helps a person know when to speak and when to remain silent, when to act and when to wait, when to expand and when to consolidate. Wisdom is cultivated through reflection, learning, and humility. A wise person understands that knowledge is never complete. They remain teachable even in success. They listen to advice, learn from mistakes, and adapt to change. This adaptability is crucial because greatness exists in a constantly changing environment. Those who refuse to learn eventually become outdated, no matter how successful they once were. Obedience is the third pillar that sustains greatness. Obedience is often misunderstood as weakness, but in reality, it is strength under direction. It is the ability to align actions with higher principles rather than personal impulses. Many people sabotage their greatness because they follow emotions instead of guidance. They act out of anger, pride, or impatience, and in doing so, they destroy what favor built. Obedience requires discipline. It means doing what is right, even when it is difficult, unpopular, or inconvenient. A person who practices obedience develops consistency. They do not change direction every time circumstances shift. They remain committed to purpose even when results are slow. This consistency creates stability, and stability is essential for sustained greatness. Character, wisdom, and obedience work together. Character shapes identity, wisdom guides decisions, and obedience aligns actions. Favor may open the door, but these three qualities determine how long a person can remain in the room. Without character, a person loses trust. Without wisdom, a person loses direction. Without obedience, a person loses alignment. Together, they form the structure that holds greatness in place. Many people admire greatness, but underestimate the discipline behind it. They see the visible success, but not the invisible effort. They celebrate achievements, but ignore the sacrifices that made them possible. Sustained greatness is not glamorous. It is demanding. It requires continuous self-examination, constant learning, and unwavering commitment to principles. Those who are unwilling to pay this price may experience moments of success, but not lasting impact. Another important truth is that greatness attracts tests. When a person rises, they face new temptations, new pressures, and new expectations. Their decisions are scrutinized, their mistakes are magnified, and their influence is expanded. In such moments, favor alone is insufficient. Only character can resist corruption. Only wisdom can navigate complexity. And only obedience can maintain alignment with purpose. Sustained greatness also requires inner stability. Many people collapse not because of external challenges, but because of internal instability. They become insecure, arrogant, or disconnected from their values. Character stabilizes the heart. Wisdom stabilizes the mind. And obedience stabilizes actions. Together, they create an inner strength that external pressures cannot easily break. Ultimately, greatness is not proven by how high a person rises, but by how long they remain relevant, impactful, and consistent. Favor may initiate the journey, but character, wisdom, and obedience determine the destination. A person who understands this does not chase applause. They cultivate depth. They do not rely solely on opportunities. They build integrity. They do not depend on momentary success. They pursue lasting significance. When such a person looks back on their life, they do not only see moments of favor, they see years of discipline, wisdom, and obedience that sustain their journey. And when others look at them, they do not only admire their success, they respect their stability, their values, and their impact. That is the true meaning of greatness. Not just rising, but enduring. As this journey of prayer and understanding comes to a close, one truth stands clear. Greatness is not a distant dream reserved for a few, but a divine possibility prepared for those who align their hearts, minds, and actions with purpose. Every season of your life, whether filled with clarity or confusion, speed or delay, joy or struggle, has been shaping you for something far greater than you imagine. You have seen that positioning is not accidental, that prayer awakens destiny, that impact matters more than applause, and that delay is often preparation in disguise. You have learned that sensitivity sharpens your ability to recognize opportunities, that life's rearrangements are often divine alignments, and that true greatness is sustained by character, wisdom, and obedience, not merely by favor. These truths are not just ideas to admire, they are principles to live by. From this moment forward, let your perspective change. Do not despise small beginnings, hidden seasons, or slow progress. Do not fear change, separation, or unfamiliar paths. Instead, embrace them as instruments of growth. Choose alignment over comfort, purpose over popularity, and depth over speed. Let your life become intentional, guided by clarity rather than confusion, and driven by meaning rather than pressure. Remember that greatness is not built in a day, but it is shaped every day. Every decision you make, every habit you form, and every attitude you cultivate is either moving you closer to destiny or pulling you away from it. But as long as you remain aligned, teachable, and courageous, your journey cannot be wasted. May your steps be ordered, your vision be clear, and your spirit be strong. May every season of your life position you higher, deeper, and stronger. And as you rise, may your life become not only successful, but significant, touching lives, shaping futures, and leaving a legacy that speaks long after you have gone.